So just getting in and getting things set up and starting to check things. I see Christine has joined us and Rebecca, hello.
Hello.
Hey, I can hear you. This is cool. This is the first time I'm using Zoom as a platform, and so I'm interested to see how it works out. Some people who will be able to join on video and some on audio, and hopefully we don't have any crazy feedback or crazy noise that makes me mute people or I don't know. So we'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It's great to have you.
And we're excited for you, Whitney.
Oh, thank you. This I always like trying new things and playing around with new platforms, and so I'm excited to roll this out and see how this goes. Let's see if these glasses work better. Can you see me okay?
Yes.
Oh, nice. I feel like there's a glare on my glasses. So we'll get started at 7:26 is what I have. We have about 34 people that actually registered for this webinar tonight, which is awesome. But we will start right at 7:30. So I would offer to play that Adele song that's so popular for you as hold music, but I'm afraid we might shut some people down. Let's see. So, and we've got Andrea and Rebecca and Christine. So I'm going to check the chat function real quickly. And see if you can tell me where you're dialing in from. Now we'll have some people from maybe from Florida and from North Carolina. Great, so you've got Ramsey, Indiana, and Louisville, Kentucky. We have someone who's joined who's got some background noise there. Oh, I think they just jumped off. Let's see. There we go. There's the video. Okay. So let's see what happens. Do that. I don't think it's going to let me have my video up and my screen share at the same time. That'll be interesting. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So hopefully everybody is seeing a little picture of me somewhere in their screen, and also seeing a slideshow that shows make 3 changes, move forward. And is that what everybody's seeing?
Yes.
Well, then this is already a success. Winning. That's it. Okay, good. Thank you, Christine. She says, hello. It's wonderful to be with you today. All right. Oh, we have Ellen. Hello, Ellen. Welcome. Ellen, tell us where you're dialing in from. We also have another caller that has a phone number but no name on there. So just type in the box there and tell us where you're dialing in from, and we'll get started here very shortly. Hey, all right, Andrea in Louisville. Which Andrea? I know so many Andreas in Louisville. Which Andrea is this? Which one of my Andreas? Andrea Shepherd. Great. Great to have you. I know I have a lot of Andreas in my life that I enjoy, so it's wonderful to have you here. All right, so I show 7:30, and that means it's time for us to get rolling. So thank you again for being here on this inaugural Zoom meeting. And we're talking about Make 3 Changes, and I'm finally unleashing this framework on the world, and I'm thrilled to have you here with me to do that. It's really been a labor of love. I'm excited about how we might be able to use it as we think about the holidays that are coming up. And so I want to kind of give you my overview and my intention for this evening. And I want to make sure that you are clear that this is about you. It's not about me. I want you to use the chat. I want you to talk to me and tell me what are some areas of your life or work that you would like to change, and we can just play with the framework a little bit at the end. I'll do a very brief overview of what it is and who it's for, who it's not for, and then we'll get right on into playing around with some examples. Now, I did send out a worksheet. So if you registered for the webinar, you should have gotten a worksheet that you can print out to use the framework. And if you didn't, then let me know that, but I'll have an example of it up on the board here shortly. So I have some invitations for you. Before we get started, I would love for you to do me a favor and just get present and be here with me and be here with us so that we can fully focus in the next 30 to 40 minutes on what we're doing to be prepared to go a little deeper maybe than you think you want to or need to, and to be willing to ask yourself the tough questions that sometimes you have to ask in order to be able to move forward. Deal?
Deal.
All right, I love it. It's a good group. Okay, so let's see if I can operate this. Yeah, so what is it? What is this framework they call Make 3 Changes? Over the last probably 5 years, 6 years of my work, I've done a ton of facilitation, led a nonprofit organization that really helped individuals who were struggling and in poverty to think differently about their financial situation, to think differently about the resources that are available to them. And what I found over time is that I was asking the same questions over and over and over again in the same order. And as I started to notice, the results that I was getting were better and better. And that is where the Make 3 Changes framework was born. I've used it with individuals. I've used it certainly for myself. I've used it for individuals in business, individual leaders, organizations, corporate and nonprofit both, and have found it to be a very global tool that works for almost anything. And I'm just really excited to introduce it to you and give you a chance to experience it. It's the closest thing to a magic wand I have. That's a winner, right? You got to have a magic wand, and this is it. Oh, look at that little animation. So this is who it's for. It's for if you're curious, if you're created, if you're committed, this is for you. If you're cynical, if you're critical, if you just want to be a contrarian, this is probably going to be a little too unicorn rainbow farm for you. Really want you to get thinking about what is possible instead of what's not possible and what won't work. This is not going to be a framework that you're going to enjoy. This is not for problem prophets, the ones who can tell you everything's wrong and all that's going to go wrong with it. That's not for you. It's for the solution seekers, people who really want to find a solution and know that there's a way. This is for you. And the truth of the matter is, you know where you are, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing. You know what you want, and you kind of have an idea about what you need. And you really just need to take your time and ask yourself some better questions, or take the time at all. How many of you find that when faced with a problem or a situation, the hardest thing to do is to slow down and take a few moments to step back and ask yourself the questions you know you need to ask? Anybody ever find themselves in that situation? Just want to go to sleep and wake up and have it be fixed.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't have to stay stuck. That's the great news. If you're stuck and feeling stuck, this is for you. You don't have to stay that way. And that's what I love so much about this framework. So here's one of the magic questions, what if? So the question becomes, I'm going to move this little chat out of the way here so that I can read my own writing. But what if you could shift your way of thinking and being in just a few short minutes by answering these series of questions? And what if once you had shifted into a more positive and hopeful frame of mind, you could think from there, all right, there are a few changes I could make to move forward. And then what if you could learn to embrace that change, anticipate, leverage resistance, and then move forward with greater ease and grace? What if you could do that instead of kicking and screaming? Would you like that?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. So what if we could apply this framework and help you create a more enjoyable and meaningful holiday season this year? Anybody in for that?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody see the Saturday Night Live parody with the family around the table saying terrible things to each other and then all coming together because of Adele? Everybody on the call tonight gets an Adele CD. I'm just joking. That's my answer. It's the framework plus Adele. That's what makes it work. So what if you could apply this framework to help you think differently about how you finish the year and how you approach next year? These are some of the applications that we'll play with tonight on the call. And this is what the framework looks like. Simple, deceptively so, in that the first step is to really think about something that you're feeling or experiencing now. So let's use the example of the holidays, right? Everybody has a certain way that they approach dealing with the holiday season. So what would be some words to describe that for you? You can type them into the little group chat. I'll write some things down here. But what would be some words that you would use to describe what you're feeling or experiencing now as you think about getting ready for the holidays? You can type them into the chat, or I think everybody is on unmute. You should be able to share. So overwhelmed, okay, that's good. Anticipating time with family, anticipation, happiness, stress, lack of time, stressful, intense. Yep. So these are all good. I can say that definitely the overwhelmed and stress. It seems that this happens the same time every year. It's not like Christmas is a surprise or Thanksgiving is a surprise, right? They show up at the same time every year. And yet the way we tend to approach it can leave us feeling a little bit exhausted. And frankly, some of us may have gatherings where we're a little unsure about the family dynamics that are going to be in play. So just getting those things out now and identifying this is how I'm feeling now about that situation is step one. Step two, you'll notice, is all the way over here on the right. Uh-oh. Let's go back. All the way over here on the right. And these are a list of words that you would use to describe what you would like to feel or what you would like to experience. So give me some of those words. And I think we have a slight delay in the chat, but go on and start typing in some of the words that you would use to describe how you want to feel as you approach this holiday season. Joy, excitement, family, happy, fulfilled, cozy, relaxed, appreciative. Yeah, all really good words. So now the question is, if how you're feeling is a little overwhelmed, a little stressed, a little nervous, and you want to feel joy and peace and happiness and this sense of family, step three is, what do you think you need in order to be able to experience more of what you want and less of what you don't want? And so what would some examples of that might be? would some of those examples be for you? Fewer commitments, that's a great one. Make a list of what I want to get done as soon as possible. So a list, fewer commitments. What else? More time, more money, less driving, less shopping. An assistant, yes, Ellen, yes. I think we all want one. That's, yeah, so an assistant. What else? Sometimes even doing your best and let it happen, Kristen, that's good. Sometimes it's even about managing our expectations, isn't it? About really being clear if we think that this is going to be the best year ever, this is going to be exactly what I want it to be, and then it doesn't turn out to be that, and we let that cloud our thoughts about how we're feeling. So step 1, write down the list of words to describe what you're feeling or experiencing now. Step 2, write a list of how you want to feel or what you want to experience. And just the mere act of writing that down, you begin to create the possibility that you could actually feel that or experience that. That's pretty powerful stuff. And then getting clear at looking at the gap between the two and saying, this is what I think I need in order to be able to move me closer to this, which is what I want, instead of closer to this, which is where I am. And the truth of the matter is, you make better decisions from a positive place. When you're in that current state of overwhelm or frustration, what are the quality of the decisions that you're making? What are some of the decisions that you make in that headspace? And you can go ahead and type that in the little chat box too, or say it. And most of our decisions in that, right, most of the decisions that we make in that headspace are relief-based, right? So we want to make it go away. We want to feel better. We want to, sometimes that's shoving things away and ignoring things. And yet when we make decisions from a place where we feel like we're confident, where we feel more positive, then we make better longer-term decisions that are in our best interest over time. Make sense? Great. So now the magic question is, what would it look like if it worked? I want you to take just a few moments and imagine this holiday season going really well, being at ease, being enjoyable, being filled with lots of love and great activities. Describe in some detail what that might look like for you. And I'll give you just a couple of minutes to do that. And this is another exercise where you really play the Adele now. This is another exercise where if you ask that question, what would it look like if it worked? This is a great question to lay out there for family members even. So if you're having a discussion about what you want the holidays to be like for your family this year, maybe ask that question. Hey, what would it look like if it worked? If we had the best holiday ever, if we really enjoyed this time together, what would that look like? And that sounds a whole lot better than talking about and rehashing all of the things that went wrong last year, all of the things that you didn't want to do, that you didn't like. What would it look like if it worked is really that magic question that helps keep people in a solution-focused way. Yes, and we'd all focus on the true meaning of the holidays and not feel the need to live up to someone else's expectations. Well said. Yes. Excellent. Yeah, chats about family, stories, games with nieces, and them actually liking my presents, cooking together. Yeah, fantastic. And these are things that when we slow down and take just a few minutes to think about and remember that they're important to us, we can actually put things in place to make them happen. So the next step in the process is simply, what 3 changes are you willing to make in order to move closer to what you want to feel or experience? And this is where you get to plug in the things, this is what I'm going to do. So Ellen, for you, it might be that you are going to actually maybe take a game over to your nieces and nephews or to the party that you go to make sure that you play. What else? Bye, Kristen. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us. So what else could you do? What's another change that you could make? Gather cell phones ahead of time. I like that. That's good. What else? What's a change that you could make internally? So avoid the malls. That's a good one. Step away from social media and serve others more. That's a great one. Call the kids and get their input on the structure. I like that. Yeah. Can everybody see the chat, by the way? Or am I don't know how this platform works, but is everybody able to see what everybody else is writing? Yes. Okay, good. Then I'll stop reading to you. Good tip. So, all right. So prepare food ahead of time. Excellent. So do you see how this works? What do you think? Is this a tool that you could use?
Yeah.
Excellent. So now let's think about it from the standpoint of what do you want to accomplish between now and the end of the year? So if you were going to use this to answer the question, what do I want to, when I think about this year, what do I really want to have accomplished? So we have a vote for Get Organized. What else? Actually, that's a really good one. Would the group mind if we played with that as an example? What do you think? Christine, I think we're going to use your example.
I like it.
All right, good. So get organized. So Christine, if you're going to get organized, what is a list of words that you would use to describe how you're feeling or what you're experiencing now about the current state of your space? Disorganized, okay. It's good. And if you had to come up with a few other words, what would you say? How do you feel? Yeah, stressed. So if that's how you're feeling, now how would you like to feel when you think about your space? How would you like to feel about your space? Clutter is a huge issue, and space is such a huge issue for folks. I know that some of the work that I've done in my own life around that has really produced some great fruit. So happy able to find things. Other people are able to find things. That makes it easier to delegate when you can tell people where to go, doesn't it? So, all right. So if that's what you're feeling or experiencing now, and what you want to feel or experience is that you're happy, you're able to find things, and that other people are able to find things, then what do you think you need in order to be able to move forward? What do you need? Take the time to do it. Yes? Very good. Good. And I'll tell you, one of the other things that I have done that has helped so much is to be really clear about the purpose for each room, really understand what is the function, what am I doing in that room, and that helps you to decide what are the things that go in that room. So take the time to do it, be committed, and not let other things distract you. So what would it look like if it worked? The answer to that may very well be already embedded in the answers that you've given. You would be happy, you'd be able to find things, other people would be able to find things, and you would have this sense of calm and order in your life. And so if I were to ask you, what are the qualities of the decisions that you could make and sort of your quality of life, if you were able to realize that ideal, how would you classify that? What difference would it make? And if you can get connected to the why and why it makes a difference, you wouldn't feel guilty about just spending time with folks. Well, that's a good why. So what 3 changes are you willing to make in order to be able to get more organized before the end of the year? So now, Christine, you're on the hot seat for giving us 3 action items, 3 changes that you're willing to make. In my Toastmasters club, we do a drum roll. Do a drum roll. Here we go. So no more ball games, no more yeses to others. Yep, that's a good one. Still thinking about number 3. Okay, you wouldn't feel guilty about just spending time with folks. No ball games, no more yeses to others, and then you can still think about number 3. You can download the worksheet and work it out. So what do you think of the ease of the tool? Are you clear about how we use this to be able to shift your thinking? Awesome.
Yes.
Great. Oops. So what did you notice about that framework or that exercise? What did you notice about the responses? There was a common sort of denominator or common element. You can identify it. It's easier than we think it will be. We make things harder than we have to be. Boy, that we do that, don't we? We're really good at overcomplicating things. What's the common denominator here? Who has the power? Is it everybody else? It's up to me. That's right. We are ultimately, we have choices. We have the ability to be able to decide to move forward or not. And oftentimes it just takes us slowing down and having a simple way to reframe our thoughts, reframe the things that we're doing. So that was good. So make 3 changes. It just simply helps you move forward. I can't think of a better example than the holidays, where it's something that's so common. Everybody has a way that they would like to make it better. And yet year after year, sometimes we seem to not make the changes that we need to make to have an impact. Or we approach these situations with the same sort of mindset. And your mindset's really critical. It's a big piece of it. So what I'll tell you is that if you allow it to, the framework can really impact the problems and the challenges that you choose to solve. It can really give you a little bit of a stepping stone to going a little bit deeper than you normally are willing to go, almost like holding your hand, if you will. It can impact the possibilities that you create, the decisions that you make, the actions that you take, the way you handle change. I have changed the people I have surrounded myself with, and that has made such a huge difference. Just by identifying, how do I feel when I am around these folks, and how do I want to feel, and am I going to have to really step out and make some change if I'm going to feel differently and make different decisions and make different choices. The way you celebrate success, part of the framework's charm is that you actually get to see some real traction in there. And as you go deeper into the work, there's a larger workbook that I'm putting together that really gets you to think about how you're going to celebrate, how you're going to support yourself and someone else, maybe an accountability buddy that you're working with, to make sure that these changes are moving forward. And it ultimately impacts the way you view the world and the way you see things. When you begin to think in possibility, stuff starts to shift. So I really want you to think about, what's a chance that you need to take? What's a change that you really want to make? And is anybody else interested and or willing to move through the framework with me and let me help them think about how they might be able to use the framework? If so, you can raise your hand on the Zoom chat, or you can speak up on the call, and I'll be happy to do that. Would you like me to give you an example, another example of how I have seen the framework work miracles? Yeah, it is, Christine. It really is universal. So I use this with nonprofit groups a lot, and volunteer groups, where you have a group of individuals who are really passionate about a cause. It's really important to them that they help this organization that they're working for, yet they're all volunteers. And so accountability can be a little bit of a problem in that, well, they're just volunteering their time and I can't really make a volunteer do that. And we all, many of us volunteer and know what it feels like when we go to those meetings and things just don't work well. And in using this framework, being able to say, look, how are you feeling about your volunteer experience now? How would you like to feel about your volunteer experience? And what do you need in order to feel like you're having a better volunteer experience? Most of the discomfort that people feel, or some of the acting out that people do, is because they're not getting a little something that they need. And most of the time, that's information, or a little bit of recognition, or a little bit of respect, as that person defines it. So this creates an opportunity to have a conversation with a larger group to say, what kind of experience are we creating for the volunteers that are serving us and helping us move the organization forward? What kind of experience do we want to create for them, and what do we think they need in order to be able to get it? And then what would it look like if it worked is a way for all of the stakeholders to be able to really insert, hey, this is what's important to me, and this is what would make a difference for me. And then individually, we get to determine, hey, what changes am I willing to make in order for me to be able to get more out of this experience than I'm currently getting? And oftentimes it takes the blaming out of it, and it just puts the context there that makes it easier to talk about, if that makes sense. So I want you to think about taking a chance and understanding that if you really want something to be better and to be different, that first you create the possibility that it can be so. And that when you do that, you can be sure that what's going to come next is a little bit of resistance. You have to give it a chance to breathe, to exist, to stretch, and to live before you start beating it up and telling it, no, you can't be. You can't possibly work out, right? Which we do. We tend to sort of beat things down a little bit. Get better at asking yourself some magical questions. And so ask yourself, well, what if? What if we did that? What if we tried it this way? What if we had a little experiment and did something different this holiday? I can give you a good example in my own family when we switched from giving gifts to everybody to doing the drawing of the names. That was a big culture shock in my family. That was not something that people really wanted to do. But once we made the shift, once we got people on board with it, once we helped people understand how much money they would be saving, number one, and time that they would save, but also just how much more enjoyable the experience of doing Christmas without it being a free-for-all. Has anybody ever had that, where people are just tearing through things, you don't even know who got what, and before you know it, it's over and everybody's running out with some $3 thing that doesn't really matter. And when we started to make that shift and we started to really consider, this is the person that I'm getting the gift for, these are some of the things that they really like, it made a big difference. But for years, that question was brought up and it never happened. It wasn't until finally somebody said, you know what if we did that, and how would that benefit people, that people started actually showing up and doing that. And so the other thing that I'll tell you is that change is really personal. Each of us have a certain threshold and a kind of a unique relationship with change. And that is something we need to be mindful of. So as some of the older family members may have real trouble breaking from tradition. Have any of you ever experienced that, where you have an older family member who's not interested in making change, and you are hoping, yes, I think everybody's had that experience. You really want, oops, I'm actually hitting some buttons here I didn't mean to be. Go back. Yeah, so the resistance is not always defiance or directed at us, as much as it is an expression of someone's discomfort with dealing with change. And that is something that when we're mindful of that and respectful of that, we can often move things forward a little bit more easily than if we ignore that and assume that everybody should just like the change because that's the way it's going to be. And being deliberate is really important. So if you're going to create a possibility and make changes in your life, you have to be deliberate. You have to really look at the habits, routines, and practices that you have that dictate kind of how you show up. And what will that look like this year? for your family? What will you do on purpose to make a difference in the way your family gathers, or the way your family communicates, or the way you celebrate the holidays, the way you wrap up the year, the way you start next year? So I hope that, let's see here. I hope that you enjoyed being introduced to the framework. I certainly enjoyed introducing it to you. And I want you to know that I've cleared my calendar for the next week and a half or so, and have some spaces available to have a conversation with you privately about any change that you're interested in making. We can run through the framework together and really look at what are the things that you can put in place right now, before the end of the year, before the holiday rush, before all of that gets going. What are some things that you could put in place that could help you really sail through this season much differently, with a completely different perspective? And I would love to have that conversation with you. So I will be sending out an email after this webinar is finished, and you'll be able to jump on and grab a spot that works for you. If you don't see a time that works for you, just shoot me an email, and I'll make some time in the evening or early in the morning to have that conversation with you. But it is my desire and my wish that everyone who feels stuck has an opportunity to use this framework and have access to a tool and a conversation and a group of individuals who are willing to help them move forward and get unstuck. And I am happy to stay on. We have another, I think another 10 minutes or so, but I'm happy to stay on and answer any questions or anything else that you might want. What did you think? It's a pretty decent platform. I hope you enjoyed the experience. Oh, great, Ellen. Thank you. I'm really glad that you were able to join us. Thanks, Christine. Yeah, and thanks, Andrea. Well, it's been my pleasure to be here with you. I wish you all a wonderful Thanksgiving and a wonderful holiday, and I really hope that I get to talk to each and every one of you over the next week and a half or so, and look forward to staying connected, and I hope that you have a wonderful holiday. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Whitney.
All right, thank you.